From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News.
Tonight's news is rather interesting and not at all a coincidence. NBC News did a telecast this evening, and it is July the 17th, 2017, relating to several issues that people have known about for the past 6 months, perhaps even longer. One event that took place early in the newscast was the fact that the opiate epidemic in America is getting out of control. People are dying all over the United States, and you have to question why is it happening, other than the fact that parents wanted legalized marijuana, legalized narcotics, that children who claim to have medical problems needed these to survive. And now you have this out of control situation across America where opiates are available to people, to the point that they kill themselves. They take overdoses now all the time. And I put the blame directly on Obama because he wanted to legalize narcotics. He wanted to legalize every kind of opiate because people kept saying over and over again, we need these for our children. We need these to help them survive. And now you see the outcome of that stupidity. People kept saying over and over again, how are my children going to live if they don't have marijuana? You know? And people will probably claim, no, that's not true because marijuana isn't the same as cannabis oil. I hate to tell you, it is the same thing. All cannabis oil is a more highly concentrated liquid of marijuana, which means instead of you puffing it like grass, you just puff it with an electronic cigarette, which then gives you a higher amount of marijuana than even puffing it inside a joint, snorting it in your nose. And people say, oh, well, there's totally a difference between that. I'm sorry, you're lying, you're fooling yourself. That's not true. It is the same thing, because it's the same narcotic and it's the same opiate, which now children are getting more and more easily on the streets. They're getting it in different forms. And folks, the only reason it's like this is those parents who said that marijuana must be allowed to be grown in their state, must be allowed to be sold recreationally, medically, whatever other horse crap you want to come up with. It was their philosophy that started this whole epidemic, and now it's totally out of control. People are never going to get control over something that was and always has been seen as a killer of children and adults, because marijuana, amongst other kinds of drugs, have been proven to kill. And now society says, well, we must allow it, we must do this or that or the other. It doesn't work. It will never work. Another story that NBC did tonight relates to, there's going to be one day of the entire year that all the airlines are going to give special discounts. Special discounts on flights anywhere in the United States. Now, what's significant about that? If you didn't see it on NBC, I'm going to show you a picture. It says August 21st is going to be the key day for people who want to fly anywhere in the country to get discounts. What is August 21st? Wake up call. This is the total solar eclipse of the United States itself by a solar astrological event. People have been talking about it on YouTube. They've been talking about it everywhere. Beyond that is September 23rd, which is going to be the date of this convergence of Virgo and also of Leo, the Lion's constellation, with Jupiter. And the reason I bring up August 21st, for those who still haven't got it, they haven't clicked it in their brain, if something is going to happen in America and you're up in the sky flying around, I don't think you ought to be in the sky when you know God is going to be telling the entire world, if not America itself, my judgment's about to come upon this country. So what did the United States airline industry do? Hey, we need to be doing a special gimmick here to keep people unaware of what's happening with regards to, signs in the heavens. So let's get them in the sky, and then they can't see it. They can't see it's happening. You can't have them getting scared about what God is telling us is going to happen if they're out enjoying themselves flying somewhere. And this astrological event, folks, is not going to happen anywhere else in the world except right here in America. And that should scare the daylights out of anybody. Because if the United States airline industry is specifically targeting that day and saying people should be flying August 21st, there's no point in claiming this is a pure coincidence, because it's not any coincidence. When a global government that is controlled by Obama is in the background saying, well, we got to keep people's minds off this stuff, we can't let them know what's happening, let's create these kind of delusions, these visions of grandeur, and make them think of other things, because when it does happen, they'll be so totally out of it they won't care anymore. And to say something about the opiate epidemic, Obama said it for the 8 years as president, that if people want to be potheads, if they want to fry their brain, who am I as president of the United States to say I can't or will not allow them to do that? He pushed it. He pushed it the whole time that legalizing narcotics was not only a choice, but it was an absolute right of parents who want their kids to die from marijuana overdoses, who want them to die from every kind of opioid that they want to use. And nobody remembers this either. There was a story about this last year, or it could have been earlier this year in 2017. A family, it was a young child in the back seat and the parents in the front seat, totally wasted in the van. You know what? They had taken an overdose of heroin. And you think, how do people get this stuff when it used to be illegal? Because Obama permitted it. He said, you're going to have the option to get this stuff because I'm not going to put restrictions anymore. And then this is a laughable thing. The media, once in a while, brings up a story of the DEA, which is Drug Enforcement Agency, has just made a big-time bust of marijuana. It was on our local news here tonight. It had a street value of something like $30 million on the street. And I'm thinking, we already have legal marijuana, we already have legal heroin. And people are so stupid they don't put it together and realize that's why it's happening. That's why they got to bring up all these other things to keep that the illusion that society is still together because we're going to do these drug busts, but in reality it's still free. So we have on the flip side of that coin the stories that keep coming in over and over again about people taking overdoses and dying. And you think, it doesn't make sense. If the DEA was doing their job, we wouldn't have overdoses because they wouldn't be able to get the stuff. More importantly, they wouldn't be able to find it because the government was actually cracking down on the actual possession, the distribution, the fact that these things can even be obtained. And Obama helped push that along because that's what a socialist does. If you're going to control the masses, you got to control what they're taking. And the first thing you do is you give it to them. You let them use it for as long as they want to. Some will die because of overdoses. You're seeing that everywhere. And what's the outcome? The New World Order kicks in. It says, well, y'all wanted all these things all along. We've given it to you. So now you're totally wasted. How about just letting us take over everything? And people are already like that. They're like, we want the government to control us. We want the government to run our lives. We want everything to be done by the government. Beyond these 2 points that were mentioned tonight, the other story that was talked about was last weekend, and this of course has direct reference to what I've been saying in a lot of my videos, that the harlot of Babylon is in full force in America. Every time any network does a story, it has to be on a what they call positive point by bringing up about girls or women doing this miraculous thing. And they had this group of 4 girls who came from Afghanistan. And of course this is to bash Trump because he has put that ban on certain Muslim countries where people can't come here and just expect to be able to walk across the border like what happened on 9/11. That's why 9/11 happened, folks. We had open borders, and they came across. We taught them how to fly airplanes. They crashed them into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. And now they say, well, we don't expect that to happen again because we're not letting them come in as easily as we used to. But that still doesn't change the fact they can still come across the border, because Obama said we're not putting any restrictions on them anymore. We're going to let them just come across whenever they want. And that's why so many Mexicans came across the state lines from Arizona and from Mexico, and nobody did nothing. Then he turns around and he gives them a driver's license. But getting back to this last story that NBC did about girls, the emphasis was that they couldn't get into the United States on 2 different occasions because Trump's ban on certain Muslim countries stopped them or hindered them from being able to come across the border. And then they turned around and they said, well, it looks like Trump himself has intervened, and now they've allowed the girls to come to America, at least for this event. The harlot of Babylon pretty much kind of stepped in and said, well, you know, you're not Obama, but we still control the whole thing, so you're going to have to permit these girls to come across into the United States for this contest that they were working on, this machine that they brought. And how did Trump change mentalities like that all of a sudden? Well, because it either is the Illuminati and the Bilderberg Group working with Obama, and they forced Trump himself to change the policy that he already established about stopping certain nations from being able to come to America, for the intent to say, we can't stop you from coming here no matter what you think. And in the case of these girls, the harlot and these others said, well, this is one instance where the girl must be superior, she has to be shown superior. You're going to let her come in. These girls are going to be allowed to come into the United States. Question none. Restriction none. You're going to allow it. That's it. And so that's why now Trump and his wife have now taken this viewpoint that we can't stop a girl from coming to the United States from a Muslim country, because we have to kind of push that philosophy on Islam that a girl is as important as a guy, as a boy. But you see, the media never talks about men in these Muslim countries anymore. We had one opportunity last year in August when with Almiron Dagnish, that little boy that was hurt so severely. You don't hear about him on the news anymore. Why? Because the media are groups who stand by not only Obama and his socialist views, but they also support the harlot of Babylon, which is all news is going to be about a girl, about a woman, and anything else, especially about men or boys, will be subjugated, it will be suppressed, it will not be talked about anymore on the news. And that's been true about a lot of stuff on the news you see right now. No more is it about that a child must be a girl. It cannot be just whatever subject is about. You're not going to talk about that anymore. And if you don't believe me when I say that this subject about girls being important is not overemphasized, they did this story 2 times within 48 hours. They aired it on a Sunday night, and now it's Tuesday, and that's been 48 hours later. They've done it again. Why? Because Lester Holt himself did not actually do the story. It was done by this other female anchor who do the weekend reports on NBC News. So, in a nutshell, it proves over and over again that the media and the Illuminati are giving people little hints of things that's going on in our world, and most people are too blind or stupid to see it. So therefore, if you're blind and you're retarded, you're not going to care, because you just want to live your little football dad or soccer mom mentality that it's all about you and it's about your kids, and anything else that's happening doesn't matter because my child must have marijuana to live, or heroin, or whatever else. This is the stupidity of America. That's why this astrological event's going to happen.